felt bad for my wolf because she has been through so much. If I didn't have her, I would have been okay without having a mate, but I knew that she wouldn't be able to cope for long. Since he was a beta, I was quite aware of the fact that I would not be able to run as fast as I could if I did not shift, and my wolf had already been advising me to let her take control. Without further hesitation, I got in, and she activated with full speed to my dormitory. The joy in my heart when I realized that the door was open and Zayden was out of sight was unimaginable. I was about to get into the room when the door slammed on my face. I knew my roommates were wicked, but I did not expect it to be to such an extent. I could hear the evil chuckling of Tristan from behind the door, and it made my blood boil that I couldn't afford to be locked out at this desperate moment. I had to calm down because there was honestly no point of yelling at him because it would only make the situation worse. I just had to beg him, "Tristan, please open up. It's urgent. I really need to get in, please." He refused to answer me at first until I called out his name again. "Tristan, Alpha Tristan, please, I am on my knees, open this door." I kept looking back to make sure that Zayden was not close yet, but my heart did not stop thumping hard against my chest in fear. If I open this door, what do I stand to gain? "Your darling roommate being saved," I replied to him in my head. "I'm only going to open up if I can get something from it," I told him. It was not the time to be naughty, but Tristan did not care at all, and I dared not to anger him. Zayden would literally kill me if he finds me out here. Answer him quickly, and I can sense Zayden getting closer. Blair pointed, and my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. Out of desperation, I had to give in. "Anything that you want, just name it, but first, let me in. I beg of you." "You really mean it?" he asked me just to be sure. I nodded my head rapidly, as if he could see me. "Yes, I swear." The door opened, and he pulled me into the room before locking the door. I breathed a sigh of relief, and my heart rate reduced a bit. "Thank you so much, Tristan. You are such..." He shunned me almost instantly. "Shh." My eyes widened as my brain was able to connect the dots that Zayden was around my dormitory area, so I kept quiet so he wouldn't hear my voice. "He's currently outside, so if you don't comply with my demand, I am definitely going to throw you out," he threatened with a straight face. "What do you want?" I asked him. He folded his arms across his chest and smirked. "It's not that much of a hard task, trust me." "Tristan, what do you want?" I inquired again through gritted teeth because my bed was seriously calling me for a good rest. He shrugged his shoulder and replied nonchalantly, "A hickey." I squinted my eyes and gave him a raised brow because I definitely did not hear clearly. "What? Have you lost your hearing ability as a werewolf all of a sudden?" "I have a mate," I complained to Blair. "You have 2 mates," she corrected it, and I agreed with her. "But then again, none of them wants me, so it would not be considered as cheating, right?" I asked, just to be on the safe side. "I don't think so. After all, they haven't marked you as theirs. So, there's no need for a guilty conscience. Besides, if you refuse, Tristan would definitely throw you out, and from the way that I see it, not only would Zayden beat you up for disobeying his orders, he might truly force his jade tree into your flower path in front of everybody. That's worse than a hickey," she advised. "You are right. What would I do without you?" I jokingly stated. Tristan started tapping his feet on the floor as a form of showing his impatience. "Time is ticking, Alexia. Let me remind you that Zayden has been known for severe anger issues, and as for dishing out punishments that his offenders would hardly be able to recover from. You can ask the Omegas that has been here for long." I closed my eyes and accepted because he left me with no choice. "All right, fine. Go ahead and do it." Harold and Nathan might say a thing if they see a hickey on me. They cared less about things like that. Tristan came closer to me, and I could feel his hot breath fan my neck as a shiver ran through my spine, preparing myself for his lips to land softly on my neck. I couldn't believe that I was allowing the playboy touch me despite the lack of mate bond between us. I felt like one of his whores, but at least, he was currently not pinning me to a bed and trying to force his jade tree into my flower path. He pulled me closer and I gasped as my breathing became heavy. His lips finally touched it and sucked hard. I shut my eyes and tried to control myself because I had not experienced such before. If it was someone else like Harold, butterflies would have been in my tummy by now. Suddenly, I felt his sharp teeth attempt digging into my skin, and I pulled away from him due to shock. What was he trying to do? Mark me, I was not even his mate to begin with, so why would he do such a thing? Have you lost your mind? Your request was a hickey, not a mark. Yelled at the top of my voice and covered my mouth with my palm when I heard footsteps stop abruptly and retreat to our room area. It had to be Zayden. Oh, goddess. What sort of mess have I gotten myself into? I always seem to get into trouble without actually doing anything wrong. It was beginning to seem like a curse that followed me after my breakup with King Zachary. A sudden knock on the door jolted me out of my thoughts and my eyes nearly popped out from the sockets because it could be only one person. My hands started shaking as I stared at Tristan with pleading eyes that he would not open the door. Someone seems to be waiting outside for you, Lexi, Tristan told me in a sing-song manner as he placed his hand on the door handle. Tristan, you can't open that door. I fulfilled your request, I whined. Maybe I might just listen to you if you do one last thing for me. The corner of his lips curved into a smirk, and I knew that he was enjoying every bit of this game that he was playing with me. What's that? Tristan, this isn't fair, I pointed out. You are just about to find out, he answered me as he strolled to where I stood before locking lips with me. His lips were soft and he had minty breath that couldn't make me push him away. My hands dropped to my waist level as I returned the kiss and our tongues danced gently with each other. A spark that shot through my body alongside my wolf screaming a word that I had been scared to hear after the mate triangle that was going on. His sweet scent wafted up my nostrils to confirm everything that Blair just said to me, and my heart shattered beyond repair. Just when I thought that I would not have to deal with Tristan as my mate, it seemed like he felt the mate bond too as his grip around my waist tightened and he intensified the kiss. Why wasn't I stopping him? That was because I was enjoying every bit of it. But the actual fuck? A voice startled us and we instantly pulled away from each other. I put my hands on my ears and lowered my head as I avoided Nathan's eyes. I wasn't expecting him to be in the room. If I had known, I wouldn't have agreed to any of Tristan's silly demands. Now my mate would consider me as a slut that liked indulging in careless, intimate entanglements. How nice of the goddess to grant me 3 mates alongside a beta that was on my case to ruin my life completely. I loved her so much because I was her favorite. Everything was happening so fast, and I couldn't just seem to process all at once. On one hand, my other mate had caught me with my recent mate and he would be thinking the worst of me, and on the other hand, Zayden was still knocking furiously, and if someone didn't go out to answer him, he might keep assuming that I was in the room hiding. I could not lift my head to face Nathan. I just kept staring at the floor like it was the most attractive thing that caught my interest, until Tristan decided to explain on my behalf to Nathan, who must have been fuming in anger by now due to the fact that he doesn't like sharing what belongs to him, but why should I even care? The only person who had attempted to mark me was Tristan, and I did not want him because of so many reasons. Reasons that majorly include Harold, huh? Blair questioned, and I could imagine a smirk on her face, and I had to hold myself back from chuckling, or it might infuriate Nathan more. Tristan cleared his throat before speaking up. She's hiding from Zayden because she doesn't want to obey his orders. Nathan rolled his eyes and scoffed in response. Typical. What was that supposed to mean? What do you mean by that? I finally summoned courage to lock eyes with him, and there was no sign of a smile on his face. It was like he was trying to hide his emotions so Tristan would not suspect a thing, and I was glad because I was not ready to be the reason for a fight between 3 roommates. Why did they even have to be in the same room or school? Goddess definitely knew what she did by causing Zach to throw me into this torturing academy. Nathan sauntered towards me and my breathing became heavy. That you do not listen to orders. I do, only when it doesn't put me in distress or goes against my principles, I retorted, and he chuckled. Yeah, right. He turned back to Tristan and told him, I think we should hand her to Zayden. This would be the perfect opportunity to teach her a lesson that Omegas do not have the right to go against the orders of an alpha or beta. I knew that Nathan would suggest such considering the situation at hand, but I wasn't bothered because I had already struck a deal with Tristan, so he wouldn't agree to it. He would be surprised by the actions of these boys. Blair said like she knew what was coming. Tristan nodded his head in agreement. You are right, we definitely should. My eyes widened in disbelief, and my heart nearly jumped out of my chest that he would betray me without thinking twice. I shot Tristan a glare to remind him of the agreement that we had earlier, but he ignored me like he just had a memory loss. You both are assholes. Zayden wants to humiliate me in front of everybody when I am not the reason for his pain, and instead of protecting me, you want to give me out. I fired at them. If we are assholes, then you are definitely a slut. Do not let me start with you. Nathan gave me a comeback that formed a lump in my throat due to pain. Why should we care? This has nothing to do with us. This is an issue between a beta and an omega. You were given an instruction to serve him until he feels better. What is so hard there? Nathan added in a nonchalant tone that gave me an ick. He had no idea what Zayden had in store for me, and I could not bring myself to tell them. I did not want to believe that they were serious about this whole thing until Nathan moved towards the door with an attempt to open it. I instantly bolted to the bathroom without hesitation, so I would hide. I could still hear their voices, especially Zayden's inquiry about me. Have you seen an Omega called Alexis? I'm looking for her. I brought my ears to the door so I would pay close attention since I couldn't get Nathan or Tristan's response about me. My hands were trembling and I started to sweat profusely. Everywhere became dead silent, and the next thing that happened almost made me see my actual parents in heaven. Someone rushed to the bathroom and I nearly screamed out of shock before I realized that it was just Tristan. I didn't want to come out just yet as it could be a trap. Where's Zayden? I asked, looking around, and Tristan gave me a blank stare before bursting into hearty laughter. He mimicked my earlier reaction and I eyed him in annoyance. Oh my goddess, I'm so scared. Just look at you. You have a smart mouth but not enough power or strength to back it up. You are lucky that Nathan was kind enough to tell a lie on your behalf. Wait, he did? I shot my right brow upwards in disbelief and he nodded his head. Yes, he gave him the wrong direction and I don't think he will be back anytime soon, so you are kind of safe, he answered me. I still couldn't believe him because this was Tristan of all people, the king of mischief. Are you sure? If he was lying, he would surely burst into laughter or smirk. Instead, he folded his arms and gave a look. Why would I lie in such a serious situation? Maybe you should come out and see for yourself. Okay, fine. I realized that he was actually telling the truth. At that instant, I breathed a sigh of relief and my heartbeat rate went back to normal before I stepped out of the bathroom. I went straight to my bed to lay down because I needed to rest when Tristan decided to hit me with a discussion that I feared would come up. I never knew that you had a thing going with Nathan. I squeezed my eyes shut before opening down and turning around to face Tristan. What thing? There's nothing happening between us. If there was, you and Harold would have noticed. We are just roommates. Besides, you know how much Nathan annoys me by the second. He literally got me into trouble with his ex-girlfriend. If I started something with him, that would make the entire situation worse. I made sure to keep my composure before he would read into my body language. It was not time for my mates to know about each other. Harold might not be bothered by the news. Nathan might lose his cool, and Tristan, he would want to have his hands all over my body without caring. If that is the case, then I think he might be catching feelings for you, he asserted. Huh? That's not possible. I disagreed with him. This is deeper than you think, because he got pretty hurt and left. Maybe he is having a bad day or something. He should not have reacted like that after he saw me placing kisses on your neck, he added. Nathan had already made it clear to me that the mate bond was nothing but a joke from the goddess, so his recent behavior only got me confused. Did he want me or not? He would not be able to state that he wanted me to be alone for his happiness. That is selfish. Maybe the goddess added Tristan to the list because she already knew that Harold and Nathan would reject me. She shouldn't have put them there in the first place. This is actually complicated, Blair remarked. I know, right? I don't think I would be able to handle all of this, I told her. It's crazy how your heart is already set on one person but he is not acting accordingly, she pointed out. Harold should be behaving like Nathan and also have a touch of Tristan because I didn't want those two. I don't want to think about this too much. I urged her to drop the topic before my head and heart would start to ache. I went back to Tristan. By the way, thank you for saving me. I would be in deep shit today if not for you. I failed to acknowledge Nathan's efforts to shame me. Tristan shrugged in response. It's no big deal. If you had not agreed to my offer, you would have been dealt with by an angry and horny beta. Yeah, right. His statement gave me flashbacks that made chills run through my body and I suddenly yearned for more. I know, but I am still going to thank you regardless because you could have chosen to fall back on our agreement after getting what you wanted, I pointed out. Yeah, sure. You are welcome, he answered before ending the conversation, not making mention about our mate bonds since we were the only ones in the room currently. Even Tristan didn't want me to? Was I that bad? Was there something wrong with me that I couldn't see? I had the sudden urge to sit all of them down, including Zach, and question him because I couldn't understand what was going on with me. My wolf felt weak because all the 4 mates that had been given to her kept acting nonchalant about it. Don't worry, Blair. Very soon, we will find someone that would want us for real. I tried to console her, but she didn't respond to me. I heaved a sigh and my shoulders dropped as I fell to my bed and shut my eyes so I could sleep. Nathan finally returned to the dorm when it was nighttime. His deep voice was what pulled me out of my sleep. I opened my eyes to see Tristan on his phone while Nathan was standing by the door having a short conversation with him. I just stayed mute because I didn't want them to know that I was awake, since these two were capable of trapping me in a suffocating tide of unwanted advance I couldn't fight my way out of, especially since Harold was not around. Speaking of my second chance mate, where's Harold? I haven't seen him all day, Nathan inquired with concern in his tone. Tristan knitted his brows. Me neither. He literally disappeared after the fight with his Pax Beta. That's off. I think we should find him in case he is in some kind of trouble. Do you remember the last time that he couldn't control his shifting? Nathan suggested. Yeah, when he almost turned our little princess to raw beef, Tristan asserted with a chuckle that almost made me let out a long hiss. Yeah, that. Let's go, Nathan replied. Tristan quickly threw on a shirt and they were about to head out. When I jumped out of my bed and spoke up, I want to come with both of you. My statement made them halt in their steps before slowly turning around to give me a look of disbelief, like I had spoken in a language that they didn't understand. Was it that obvious that I was beginning to care too much about Harold? No, I don't think so. Why? Nathan asked me with his brow shot up, and I shrugged my shoulders in response. What do you mean, why? Harold is my roommate. I am worried too, I replied. But it doesn't seem convincing enough to them, especially Nathan. We are going to be outside the 4 walls of this academy. I don't think it is safe to come. Tristan chimed in, and I glared at him because at this moment his words might be enough to change Nathan's mind. So? It doesn't matter. I am going to be with 2 strong alphas. You would be able to protect me, and besides, if I stay alone, Zayden might come for me. I told them, and I felt Nathan slowly agreeing to it. She is right. She's an Omega, it is no big deal. Come on, let's go, we shouldn't waste time at all. Nathan finally agreed, and I had to hold the smile that was threatening to appear on my face so it wouldn't seem suspicious. We left the school premises and got to a restricted forest that was a bit scary, but I dared not to complain. If not, Nathan might just chop my head off. I held onto him tightly since he carried me on his back to make the journey quicker. Are you sure that you are a werewolf or an elephant? Nathan asked me with a touch of insult, and I felt like hitting his head. Excuse me? I retorted in an offended tone. We shouldn't have brought her. Omegas are always a burden to other wolves, he complained, which annoyed me even more. I'm not heavy-weighted, so I don't get why you are complaining. Besides, aren't you an alpha? Don't you lift heavier objects at the gym? Unless you are a lazy ass. I gave him a nice comeback, knowing he could easily get angry. One more word and I'm going to drop you, he threatened. I was about to reply to him when Tristan decided to act mature for once by speaking up. Can both of you stop with the banter and focus? Nate, you were the one who agreed to her request, so deal with it. Where did the Tristan that we all knew go to? What are those? I inquired, after squinting my eyes to see figures on the ground. My wolf instantly activated my night vision alongside Tristan and Nathan. We were shocked by what we saw. Are those? I couldn't even finish off my question when Tristan confirmed it for me. Dead bodies, yes. The first thing that I would have done was to jump down from Nathan's back and run back to the academy, but I trusted them to protect me, especially Nathan. They seem like rogues, just look at their appearance, Tristan pointed out for us, and we agreed with him. He turned to face Nathan before inquiring, do you think that Harold is responsible for this? Remember the last time that he was acting vicious and wild? Nathan hesitated before responding because he seemed like he was thinking about the situation. I pray he isn't. He is too calm and cool for this. We just have to find him, and hopefully he is not hurt as well. The question is, how do we find him? Tristan asked. He must be around here somewhere if he is truly the culprit. It's not like he eloped from the academy or something. We can trace him with his scent, Nathan suggested, and they started sniffing the air. They moved around trying to find him amidst the dead bodies but couldn't. The smell of blood is too much. I can't get his scent. I think you should help them out, Blair advised. Why? Harold, or should I say none of them wanted me as their mate. So why did I even care so much? I should have actually stayed back because the whole thing is truly pointless. I felt bad for my wolf because she has been through so much. If I didn't have her, I would have been okay without having a mate, but I knew that she wouldn't be able to cope for long. They haven't rejected us yet, but I doubt if she would be able to survive it from 3 different mates. One was already a hard pill to swallow and we haven't fully healed from it. The plan was to lose our virginity at 18 and I was actually willing to give it up for King Zachary, but at the same time, I am glad that it never happened because he would still have cheated on me with my sister and dumped afterwards. Why was it so hard for them to accept us? Was there something wrong with me or what? They should speak up and I might just change because I didn't want to end up like all those she-wolves who died without a mate. Loneliness was something that I feared the most unless I chose to be alone. I will trace him by his scent and you will follow my lead, she added when she realized that I had not responded to her. Okay, I said. It didn't even take long before she instantly fished him out. I have found him. My joy knew no bounds and I instantly informed Nathan and Tristan about his whereabouts. He is right there. As expected, Nathan gave me a questionable look. How do you know? I jumped down from his back and rolled my eyes at him. Stop asking questions and just bring him out. Tristan was smart enough to do just that, but Nathan wasn't going to give up on the topic so easily. He grabbed me by my arm and stared deep into my soul. Did you also make out with Harold because it seems like you are becoming a slut by the minute? Why did he care? None of them has shown interest in this mate bond, so why was Nathan acting up all of a sudden? Because he does, Blair answered me, as she felt a pull from Nathan which I didn't believe would ever happen. He's right there. Tristan pointed to a tree where we saw a hand on the floor and we instantly rushed there because it confirmed his scent. I halted in my steps and gasped in shock when I saw him covered in blood as he was severely injured. My heart started aching in pain and my wolf cried because one of her mates was injured and I tried to console her. He's going to be okay. I wasn't sure, but it was the least that I could do to calm her down from panicking too much. Are you sure? Take a good look at him. Who could have done this? It is a good thing that we found him on time. If not, I wouldn't have been able to imagine what could have happened to him, she added. The fact that we were still not accepted, and Harold was the last person that would ever think of doing so, yet we were still worried about him, was something else. And I didn't feel bad about it. Don't forget that he is an alpha. He will be fine. I told her before disconnecting the link between us and rushing to his side. Harold, I called out his name slightly, hoping that he would answer me, but he didn't. At least he was still breathing. If not, I would have had a panic attack. Please, answer me, are you okay? I was still waiting for a positive response from him when Nathan pulled me up and my brows knitted at him because I was not ready for any of his annoying behavior. The person that I cared about the most was almost at the state of dying. Obviously, if you aren't daft, you would not be asking such questions. He is not, and we need to take him back to the academy before he bleeds to death, or whatever attacked him would come for us. There are a lot of bad things that could happen if we stayed here, and besides, the principal doesn't know that we snuck out. As much as the person speaking was Nathan, I just had to agree with him. Both Nathan and Tristan shifted into their wolf form and Nathan carried Harold on his back while I couldn't shift since my wolf was hurt. I had to hop on Tristan's back and we got home in no time without any trouble being caused in our absence. We locked our room door the minute that we got in and our attention diverted back to Harold after heaving different sighs of relief. At least he didn't die on our way here, I said to Blair, who was still stressed about the whole issue. Nathan flipped Harold over to reveal a silver arrow with wolfsbane on his back, which made sense because it was the only way that he could have gotten so weak to the point of bleeding profusely. This must have been planned. None of this would have happened if he had just stayed in the academy. I don't even understand why he loves exploring the woods. He was brought for a reason. Nathan vented out in frustration and none of us said anything in response. I should definitely pull this out, he suggested, and Tristan nodded his head in agreement. You would hold him still while I remove it. Nathan instructed him and they were about to do it when I looked away because I couldn't bear to experience such a horrifying sight. Harold growled out in pain while I winced because I felt it as well that I had to squeeze my eyes shut and pretend like I was okay, so it wouldn't raise suspicion from their end that I had a connection with him. Lex, are you good? Tristan inquired from me in a concerned tone, and I didn't still turn to face him. Yeah, I am good. I just can't stand the sight of so much blood, talk less of pulling an arrow out of flesh. I lied. Nathan released a scoff before speaking. And you are a werewolf? I'm so silly. How could I have forgotten that you are an Omega who only knows to clean and not fight? Tristan, we need to find something to cover the wound. I think the wolfsbane made him too weak to heal quickly. They searched around but couldn't find anything to use, and it made me roll my eyes because their brain couldn't improvise. I didn't even mind the next thing that I did as I took off my shirt and handed it to them. Here you go, use it to cover up before he bleeds out. I told them and they gave me a blank stare, more like trying not to look at my exposed cleavage. Nathan's eyes were fixed on my chest and he gulped his saliva, causing his Adam's apple to bob in a way that caught my eye while Tristan looked everywhere but at me, and it almost made me chuckle that I had to clear my throat to get them back on track. Thanks. Nathan took it from me and placed it on Harold's wounds. I went close to him and his hands unconsciously snaked around my waist, pulling me closer to him and tightly, causing his scent wafted up my nostrils, causing my heart to pick up a fast pace that I was scared that the others might notice. I actually didn't want to turn around because I knew that the reaction from them would be far from good. All the color had already drained from Nathan's face as he gave me a complicated look, which I ignored because I was enjoying a bit of Harold's touch even though it was just a pull. Tristan moved away from us and went to his back like Harold didn't matter at all to him anymore before blocking his ears with earpods while listening to music. I didn't want to pull away from Harold because it has been so long since anybody hugged or even touched me. I did not want it to come to an end so easily. It was nothing but comfort to me, and I loved it. Tristan, Nathan called out, but he didn't respond until he yelled for the second time and marched to his bed. Tristan gave him a raised brow with an irritated look on his face as he was being bothered. We are not done treating his wounds. I need you to pull him back. Was it really necessary to spare me a veiled glance over the last part of his sentence? Before they would order me to move away from Harold or forcefully separate us, I respectfully did so myself and stood apart from them while they continued their cleanup. Just then, Nathan paused and his face flushed as he stared at me. You should go take a shower, you smell really bad. Ouch. I went ahead to sniff my body because he could have uttered such due to pettiness since it was Nathan and he was right that I had to agree to it. I grabbed my towel before walking off to the bathroom because I didn't want to strip in front of them. Blair instantly commented when I turned on the hot shower. I have to admit that Nate and Triss are hot when angry. I can't believe that they were actually jealous of Harold. Angry? They were acting childish because both of them actually pretended like there was no mate bond, so they had no right to be mad. Nate and Triss? Is that the new nickname that you gave to them? I asked her and she giggled. Isn't it cute? She retorted with a question and I only shrugged. A smile suddenly found its way to my face as I scrubbed my body with my bathing sponge. It felt good to be hugged by Harold. I wonder what it would be like with Nathan and Tristan. Nathan was going to be a rough one and I didn't want to even imagine. I guess we might never find out since they were heating up because of Harold. Harold was already awake when I got out of the shower, and I did not want to give in to my delusions that my fresh scent was the reason for him waking up. The room was a bit awkward, or maybe I was the only one feeling that way considering that Nathan and Tristan were capable of doing anything. You're finally awake. I summoned courage to assert in an excited tone so it would not seem like I cared less about him when it was quite the opposite for me. His eyes were squinted as he held his head as if it was aching. Yeah, I went further to ask him out of concern, what happened back there? Before he responded, he asked us about how we were able to find him, and we told him everything. Some rogues attacked me while I was on a run and I kind of killed them. He confessed with a flat tone that stated he did not care about his actions. Nathan gave him a pat on the back. It's okay, man. It was nothing but self-defense. I went quiet afterwards and I felt like disappearing from the room, but it was so hard to keep my eyes from Harold. Rumbling of his stomach was enough to alert us that he needed some food, but before I could offer my Omega duties to my mate, Tristan beat me to it and I let it be since it was pointless. I will whip up something for you to eat, Tristan stated as he stood up to leave for the kitchen. Thanks, man, Harold uttered. On his way out, he elbowed me and I winced in pain before shooting him a deadly glare, which he did not bother to react. I guess it got to Tristan, Blair pointed out, and I rolled my eyes. He's doing too much considering that he is the new one in the mate bond that we share, I retorted, and my wolf chuckled. Would have to deal with it now, she told me. I don't think so, because if it continues, I would just tell them the truth and accept one of them, I stated in a flat tone. By that, you actually mean Harold. What if he doesn't want to be with you? Her question got to me and made my heart race a bit because the chances of such actually happening was quite high. Is lost then? I'm comfortable being alone. That was a huge lie, and I knew that she could tell. We are not. Stop trying to be a thug, she deadpanned. Whatever, I replied to her before disconnecting the link between us. I was not even over the stunt that Tristan pulled up when Nathan just decided to be himself, and it was the peak of it. I need cold water running through, man. He grabbed his towel before he placed his hand on my shoulder and pushed me to the side. I stared at him in disbelief, but instantly composed myself so that Harold would not suspect a thing. They were acting like toddlers, and it was best to ignore them until they were back in their right senses, if that ever happens. My eyes trailed back to Harold, who was still on his bed, and I rubbed my arms slightly before joining him while trying to control my racing hands and trembling fingers. Are you good? Like, are you okay now? I asked him in a low tone, hoping that he would not respond in a harsh or flat tone like he used to. To my utmost surprise, he flashed a weak smile that warmed my heart and made me remember that time when he hugged tightly, causing unnecessary drama with Tristan and Nathan. Yeah, I'm getting better. I am an alpha, remember? His voice was husky, and it made the attraction for him grow stronger by the second. Fuck. The rejection was surely going to hurt for sure, and I pray that I survive it. I giggled nervously. Yeah, strong enough. The silence that came afterwards wasn't awkward, and I hoped that I was not being delusional. His alluring gray eyes were staring into soul, and I was surely going to fumble anytime soon. I instantly broke eye contact and covered my face with my hair while blushing hard. Why did you come to the forest searching for me with them, knowing fully well that it is quite dangerous for an Omega? His question caught me off guard because he seemed to have forgotten that I was not alone, and I was not going to tell him the major reason just yet. Harold seemed like the type that might push you away if you care about him too much. I had to. I couldn't just stay back knowing that you were somewhere bleeding out. You could have died if we hadn't gotten there on time, I stated. It was a good thing that he could even endure the pain for long. The corner of his fine lips curved into a small smile, but it disappeared afterwards before speaking. Thanks for lending me your shirt and arm, quite thoughtful of you. You are welcome, I replied in a low tone before looking away and wishing that I would become invisible again because I still felt his eyes on me. You don't need to thank her for anything, Harold. It's her habit of lending things to people, to get used to it. Nathan chimed in the minute that he stepped out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist and wet hair. Of course, I saw the abs, but I cared less. Harold knitted his brows in confusion before asking, "What do you mean?" Nathan was surely going to say something to explode the whole place, and I would kill him for it if it involved losing my true love, or should I say, mate. You missed out on a lot of things. He walked towards me and placed his arm on my shoulder. I noticed Harold's gray orbs fixed on them, and I shifted uncomfortably because I did not want a situation where he would be triggered. Our little Omega over here has been a very naughty girl, he announced, and Harold shot up his right eyebrow. I'm still not following, Nate. Just go straight to the point and don't stress me with it, Harold urged him. My bad. Anyways, Tristan and Alexia made out. My eyes nearly popped out of the sockets, and time suddenly became slow with my heartbeat racing since Harold was surely not going to like the news that Nathan just dropped. He clenched his jaw, and I noticed the slight squeeze of the duvet as Nathan went on with the story. And all I wanted to do was to yell at him, but I couldn't since Nathan had no idea that he was sharing me with Tristan and Harold. His gray orbs had already darkened, and it was not good, but I just pretended not to see it before he spoke up with a deep voice that I had a bit of annoyance, or maybe I was just being paranoid. So? The last time I saw both of you lingering over her tender, bloom-like swells, what is a damn kiss? She's an Omega after all. Usually passed around whoever turns out to be her mate. I would advise that person to reject her since she's fond of being a hoe and betraying people. A huge lump formed in my throat, and I was battling tears from rolling down my cheeks because I didn't want him to know that his words got to me. He feels betrayed, Alexia. He has every right to be angry, Blair stated. I knew that. I know, but he was the one who has been acting nonchalant about this mate bond. Why does he care? I retorted with the question. Don't forget that it was not quite long after finding out about the mate bond, he caught you in a compromising position with the others, and now, this. Of course, it is enough to lose interest. Put yourself in his shoes, she told me. By the way, don't you think it is high time that you tell the truth? How long do you think you would be able to keep it a secret? Don't forget that you also have Zayden on your case. The earlier that you do so, the better, she advised. It was, but I had no idea how I was going to break the news to them and how they might react. This whole thing was a mess.